Hey everybody, welcome to the Pagan Perspective. My name is Angel and I am your Thursday Subs Week host. And this week's question is basically assumptions. Okay, so this week's question comes from Sable Wolf Song, and it's assumptions of character. I have a question for the channel. What do you do if people who recognize you are pagan assume you are sexually promiscuous? Well, that is... It's hard to change people's opinions about what they believe to be true, because people also think that witches can fly on brooms and that we sacrifice children and animals and have orgies in the woods and blah blah blah. Now, it's really about... Sorry about the dogs barking in the background. It's really about combating any kind of assumptions about yourself. I don't think you would go about it any differently. I guess it kind of depends on the circumstance and the situation too, because if people find out at work, at your place of employment, that you're pagan and they assume you're promiscuous and treat you inappropriately, that can become an issue. That's more HR driven. So I guess it can become an issue, but my biggest thing is assumptions say more about the person who's assuming than they would ever say about the person they're assuming it about. So I try to take a lighthearted approach to things, even when it's really difficult to do that with the way people treat you sometimes, and they assume things about your religious spirituality. You know, they assume you worship the devil, and on and on and on. But assumptions is unfortunately not just pagan specific. People assume things about different races. They assume things about different genders, sexualities, religions. You know, it's the thing about assumptions that how I try to combat them is I just try to live above them. Is it easy to do? No, it's not. But at the end of the day, you have to pick the higher road. You know, when I was growing up, I was the oldest. And my mom would always say to me, be the bigger person, which I hated hearing my whole life. And even as an adult, me and my younger brother have had a strained relationship. And many times in my adult life, my mom has said, be the bigger person in that situation, which has irked me, because I feel like, why do I always have to be the bigger person? And my mom said, because you're the one who's strong enough to be. What do you say to that? You know, she's paying you a compliment, but she's also guilting you. But I digress. The point is, be the bigger person. You know, I mean, people assume because I'm a bigger girl that I'm lazy. People assume that because I lived in the South, I'm unintelligent. People assume because I lived in California that I surf. I mean, the list of assumptions is staggering. So just live above them, rise above them, and show people who you are, and their assumptions will melt away. And if they don't, then really there's only so much you can beat your head against a brick wall, and some battles that you need to learn you can't win. Some people you can't reach. And that's okay, because that's their journey and they have to figure it out. So, somebody assuming you're promiscuous, there's worse things they could assume. And if they assume that because you're pagan, then that, again, says more about them than it does you. So, I know that's not really that's not really a, oh, you should do this, this, and this. Because, really, I don't... Assumptions, I try really, really hard not to have them. Because I try to understand where the person's coming from and hear their background or their story before I, jump to conclusions. So I guess I don't totally understand the whole assumption thing, and it really doesn't serve anybody to do that. So I just think that if you rise above it and ignore it to a certain extent, or just kind of keep it in your peripheral and just put yourself forward, and those assumptions will eventually go away. If they don't, like I said, it's if somebody assumes that you're promiscuous and they get to know you and clearly you're not, and they still want to assume that on the simple fact that you're pagan, then that person is just a waste of time to try to educate. So don't waste your time. There's lots of other people out there that want to hear your message, and they want to hear what you have to say, and they want to get to know you, and don't waste your time with people who don't. That's it. So, again, I hope that helped. I know it wasn't step by step on how to handle, this situation, but that's how I handle it. Is I just don't pay it any mind. I mean, that's it. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and blessed be. Bye!